Good morning, lovely people. Welcome to the second part of the videos about how we travel with electric car in Bulgaria, in the mountains of South Bulgaria. In the first video I showed you how we traveled to Bansko, how we charged the car, then we had a short walk in Yakuruda, then I told you a little bit more about the electric car we rented, and I showed you how you can work with the app and how basically works when renting the electric car. In this video, in the second part of our travel, we're going even more south in Bulgaria, and well, first we traveled to Ognianovo, very small village. Basically how I saw it was, let's say, split into two parts. The first part of the village is with old houses where probably your grandparents live, and there is another part of the village where are a lot of hotels with pools, spa resorts and etc. So it's more of a modern side of the village. We had a short walk, nothing fancy, just to have a look at the village, because why not to go around different villages. Something that I noticed, we didn't see a lot of old people actually, because usually in small villages there are a lot of old people sitting on their benches in front of the houses, but there was no such thing. However, you could see that there were a lot of renovated houses, so probably there are younger people living here, and they come either in the weekends or spend most of their time in the summer here. Well, the city, the village, is not that big. There is a small city center, and yeah, nothing fancy around here. From this small village we're gonna chill a little bit more, and then we're leaving to our second destination, second main point of our trip, which is Leshten. Leshten in Bulgaria is known as the authentic city that is keeping its Bulgarian folklore atmosphere, because there are a lot of typical houses from the revolutionary period. And yeah, I haven't been there before, so I'm also very curious to visit the city. We will walk around. If I find interesting stories, I will share it with you. And then we are going to another city that is called Kovatchevitsa, which is also very interesting to see and very authentic for Bulgaria. So let's see what we have. Lovely people from sunny Leshten. As you can see, the beautiful landscape we have in front of our hotel, well, guest house I would say. Before showing you Leshten, this authentic touristic place for Bulgaria, I'm going to take you to another very beautiful city, from what I saw from pictures, because I haven't been there before, that is called Kovachevitsa. This area here in southeast of Bulgaria, southwest, sorry, is how can I say, it's full with small villages that are with authentic atmosphere. They're keeping the traditional architecture of the buildings, of the houses, and you can see old people selling their products, as for example their homemade jam or wine, and it's very beautiful because they're selling their own natural bio production, and it's 10 kilometers away from Leshten. As you can see now, the weather is very good, there are barely clouds, and yeah, let's drive. Lovely people, welcome to Kovatchevitsa, the small village in the south of Bulgaria, where if I could use only one word to describe it, I would use peacefulness or timeless, because here the time seemed to have stopped, and it looks like you're in another century, not another hundreds of years, but like in another centuries, 200-300 years ago. Most of the houses here are built in the 18th or 19th century by revolutionaries, and I suppose it's been given to their generations afterwards. You could also see a lot of houses that they are abandoned. Probably they don't have family to inherit it, or they simply just left it to what is left here. Also very beautiful to see the authenticity of the city is how you cannot reach the houses on different hills by car, or not by your ordinary city car, but with some very tall jeeps from the 1950s probably, and you could also see a lot of wooden in front of the houses, because people are preparing for the winter, and usually these houses have not a heating system but chimneys to heat the whole house. And yeah, most of the houses here are guest houses. They're renovated, done in a proper way. There are also some restaurants, pubs, and I'm very, very happy from what I saw here. It's also a very typical touristic place, but I would say not that commercialized, because we didn't see a lot of people. Maybe because it's at the end of August, beginning of September, and the vacations are already almost over. But I would say here the authentic atmosphere is preserved. And where exactly does Kovatchevitsa name come from? Well, actually there is a legend related to the wife of a settler blacksmith called Marko Gina Kovachevitsa. After his death, his wise and strong-spirited wife was known for her advice and help by many villagers around the region. It became a nickname to say, "I'm going to the house of Kovatchevitsa," when someone was going to the blacksmith house. And since then, the village has become known as Kovatchevitsa. We found a road that is taking us to a chapel of St. George, and we were like, okay, let's check it out. It should be nearby, because there was just like a pointing arrow for the direction. And at some point, when we thought that we were getting closer and closer, we saw an arrow, another one, with 1,700 meters. So we were like, okay, let's take the road and see the chapel. And it's definitely not the road we were thinking of. The ascent is too big than we thought. But now we saw 500 meters, so we're not that far away anymore. And since at some point at the village, Kovatchevitsa, we were followed by a dog, and it's just like a street dog, you know. And we were just walking without any direction. We were just observing, and we saw that this dog is following us, and we were like, okay, why not? And now we see that the dog is following us to the chapel, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Oh, it's so sweet. And every time when we look at it and he's turning his head to the other direction, as he doesn't know that he's here and we're looking at him. Yeah, very sweet. We arrived at the chapel. As we supposed, it was closed, of course. But luckily us, there was water, free water from the ground, from the nature. And I noticed what it was written there. Water is life. Very interesting message. And we also saw a label with probably another landscape, Falcon's Eye. So probably we're gonna visit it as well. Yeah, we're gonna just chill a little bit in the peacefulness in the forest. It's lovely, amazing. As I'm here in total silence with the nature, it's just so peaceful here. And I'm really happy that not a lot of people visit this place, because if a lot of people visit it, it won't be the same feeling when you're here. It will be totally destroyed, in my opinion. So, very beautiful. Speechless, I would say. While we are walking on this road, we were talking how probably your grandma in the past would be climbing on this road to reach the chapel, especially on Sunday, because in the small villages, or more specifically in the past, here people would be true believers and would go to churches or the chapels to pray or to be thankful for something and to express it there. And here it is just impossible to drive by car, to reach the place by car. And if there is a wagon pulled by horse, probably. But there is definitely the by foot, the mean of transport by foot, the only option here, I would say. And it's funny how your grandparents in the small village will go and walk at least 2 kilometers, because it's from the starting point, from the label to the chapel, it's 1,700 meters. But if you live in the house in Kovatchevitsa and you have to walk from there, it's at least 2 kilometers by foot. And can you imagine if you have to walk from another village? And now there are people that they have to drive their car to go like 500 meters away from their home to reach another point, or like and you are in the city, you know, and the condition, it's much better than here in the forest. So it's kind of funny in what kind of society, what kind of times we live right now. And yeah, just a thought of mine. From our last day on our vacation. We just had our beautiful walk around Leshten. Extremely peaceful and beautiful small village, I would say. And you could see the village is full with houses. Most of them are guest houses. There are some houses that they're just owned by someone and people live here, and there are barely hotels, just like the one we are staying at. It's very beautiful because when you're walking around their houses, you can see they are renovated. There are some other houses that they're literally falling apart because they're abandoned. And if you just stay around them, sometimes probably you can even imagine what kind of history there is behind it, what kind of story the house can tell you. And the story is probably 100 or 200 years old. And for me, it's very beautiful to see that such villages are still existing in Bulgaria, and people don't destroy them. It's the other way around. They're trying to preserve them as much as possible, and you kind of can connect with your roots here, especially when you see old people selling handmade products. Also, not only food, but also, for example, parts of Bulgarian folklore costumes. And yes, they might be expensive, but they're handmade, and they're coming from the heart of the roots where actually we are coming from as a culture, as nationality. And Leshten as a destination, vacation destination, I would say it was one of my best choices, because here I had my relax, I had my escape from the big city, and it was definitely worth it to travel so many kilometers with an electric car, and it was quite fun as well. And of course, we have 1 day left to go back to Sofia, to go back home. And I hope we don't have big adventures there. But we have to find a charging station at some point. Yeah, we're going back home the other day. And today we're going to enjoy our last day drinking coffee surrounded by the nature basically, and swimming in the pool, refreshing our afternoon. Great, lovely people. We're already back home, and I feel really refreshed and very good after this vacation, because it was that type of vacation that I really needed to feel recharged, because when I am in the mountains, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person, I feel like my soul is recharging only with positive energy, and it's some kind of different energy rather than in the city where there is a hustle and bustle atmosphere. And sometimes I think that this kind of escape out of the big cities and the rush, the big cars, this ordinary and organized daily life that we have here, this kind of vacations are the perfect escape for your soul in order to blossom again, if you say so. On the way back home, I didn't film because I was feeling a little bit stressful, and I will tell you why. The reason for that was we decided to take another road, not to go back on the same one where we actually came from, because we had a meeting with my parents in another city, so we had to take another road. And we decided to change it. We checked the charging stations. We were at 100%, fully charged, 99 to be precise. And the way how we calculate the whole road, we said, okay, it will be more than enough for us to arrive at the charging station, where actually it was at the gas station, and it was very good meeting destination for us with my parents. And it was in another city. First we thought that we were gonna reach one specific city that is called Velingrad, but then we saw the road that it wasn't the best condition. We didn't want to experiment. So we decided to have a backup plan and take another road. However, there was an extremely big hills on our way, and we were scary that the battery wouldn't be enough because we were in the mountains, and you're always either on the hill or going down. And at some point we only drove like 30 kilometers, and the kilometer range that we had was down with 100 kilometers, and we were like 100 kilometers away, and from what we saw we had around 250 kilometers range left approximately. And based on the calculations we made, we thought that we were not gonna make it, and we were worried a little bit. So that's why we actually drove with 20 kilometers per hour, going up the hills. And then because we weren't fully aware of the road, this is, I think, the second time we go on this road, but basically the last time it wasn't with electric car, so you're not thinking, okay, this is a hill, I'm gonna charge the car here, this is to the top, so I have to be a little bit more careful. And we didn't basically know what is the condition of the pathway. So we were a little bit more careful and we were driving slower. However, we were very economic. So we arrived at 50% in Pazarjik, the place where we actually met with my parents. And we charged it a little bit and then left for Sofia, because from there it was already the highway and we were almost at home. But on our way back home, we arrived at 40% battery, and on the highway we didn't have any problems. We were driving with around 90 kilometers per hour, which, well, these are the capabilities of this car. And I would say we were safe and sound. Arrived safe and sound in Sofia. We didn't have any problems with the car. And finally, how many kilometers we managed to drive was basically 696 kilometers out of 700 kilometers that we had in our package. And the only missing thing on the app of Spark, I would say, from our user experience was we couldn't track how many kilometers we actually have driven. If you don't actually calculate it at the beginning, either take picture of the whole kilometer range, or you just put a 0 on the specific road on the car, then you could not easily track how many kilometers you've driven with the car. But, however, we had a very pleasant adventure trip overall with electric car and with Spark. And definitely we're willing to travel another time with it for a longer period of time, not only in the city. But overall, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed these two beautiful videos of these cities, traveling around small villages and getting to know the authenticity of Bulgaria. If you have any questions or you would like to know more about Sofia when you're arriving, if you're arriving and you would like to rent a car here, I'm more than happy to help, of course. And well, that was all from me, guys. See you next time. Oh, and by the way, if you're still not a client of Spark, but you would like to install and try the electric cars, I have a deal for you. Every Sparks client has this unique code that you can refer a friend. So both of you can have extra 20 levels for getting a new member. So what is the deal? You give this code to other people and both of you, you and the person, receive 20 levels in your pocket on Spark wallet, and you can drive electric cars with extra money. Enjoy!